relaxed
Are
right
you all
now.
right now?
Yeah. Well, you know, when you call 911, every second counts. You want police officers to respond as quickly as possible.
Does Sussex County have the police staffing, though, that it needs? Some recent victims of burglary say more state troopers are needed.
And their questions are behind a larger debate over police protection. WBOC Sussex County Bureau Chief Michael Lepardi has been looking into the issue. To check it out.
The signs are posted, the spotlights are mounted, but they did not stop a burglar outside of Rehoboth Beach. Nearly 1 in 4 homes in the Aspen Meadows development were burglarized last year.
We don't have any other police force in our area.
Neighborhood Watch Coordinator Bud Innerst relies on Delaware State Police for protection. Troopers eventually made an arrest in the case, but some here believe the spree would have ended sooner if police had more manpower.
Being that we had so much problems with break-ins and burglaries, that type of situation, we were really concerned if we were going to have enough people to help us with our job.
Does more police equal less crime? The question has no easy answers. University of Delaware professor Douglas Tuttle, a former police officer, says not necessarily.
The visibility of more police really makes people feel better. So they translate that to think that they in fact are safer, when statistically that may not be true.
Tonight, we examine the numbers, how police protection has increased in Sussex County, where the crime rates stand, and how the sheriff says he could make a difference.
And WBOC's Michael Lepardi joins us to talk about this story. Michael, what actually started this discussion?
You know, guys, it was a few different things. Really, it started last year with this burglary spree that we saw primarily in eastern Sussex County. And then most recently with the debate with the sheriff and his deputies performing police work. Obviously, sheriff's deputies in Delaware are a little bit different from how it works in Maryland. But that sparked this ongoing debate over, you know, are we safe? Where does the crime rate stand? And all these different factors being put together here.
Now, we're focusing mostly on state police. Why is that?
Well, because in most parts of unincorporated Sussex County, they rely on Delaware State Police. Unlike Maryland, the counties here really have no county force. So if you don't live in a town or a city, you rely on state police to show up. So that's a vast majority of Sussex County. That's why we're going to focus on that tonight.
All right, you've done a lot of research. What has your research shown about police staffing?
And kind of what you just saw in the piece there is really no easy answer. I mean, you have to put all these different factors together. Police cost money, you know, where does the crime rate stand? How many do we already have? How many people live there? So when you put all these factors together, you kind of have to balance it out. But a lot of it really, believe it or not, has to do not so much on the numbers, but our own perception. How safe do we feel in our communities?
Right, and that is what makes it so complicated?
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, really, there is no formula. How do you decide the perfect number as to how many you need? There's no formula. And a lot of it has to do with, as we said, you know, how safe do people feel at the end of the day when they walk home? All
right, so let's go back to the leadership of Sussex County. What do they think about all this?
Well, as of right now, a lot of it has to do with the cost. I mean, when this issue came up before the county council last year, they were unwilling to spend extra money. Now, in all fairness, we should say the county's already paying for an extra 40 troopers on top of its regular allotment. So they are paying for extra, but extra on top of extra, really they weren't ready to go that far last year. And a lot of it has to do with money, and the county council, for that matter, is really not interested in a county police force because the costs are so high.
Now, how does the Sussex County sheriff fit into this debate?
He's made a lot of headlines recently, a lot for, as we said before, deputies performing police work. To touch on what we were talking about earlier, you know, in the state of Delaware, sheriff's deputies typically do not perform police work like you would see in, you know, Wycomico or Worcester County. So he kind of stepped out of that and decided that, you know, deputies were going to maybe perform a traffic stop that they thought they saw someone doing something on the road that was illegal. A lot different in Delaware, where deputies typically conduct foreclosure sales and you know, deliver court papers. So he thinks he can make a difference out there, and he wants that extra permission from the county, but county leaders really aren't budging right now. They say this is an issue that needs to be settled at the state level first before the deputies go out and do that.
Wow, that can really turn into a complex situation in a hurry then, can't it?
It already has, you know, and there's so many different opinions out there and different interpretations as to what the law says and where the Constitution stands. So really, there's no easy answer to that either.
And of course, you got to talk about the economy and money and how that plays into it as well.
Money's a big factor. I mean, the county's already paying about $2 million a year for those 40 extra state troopers. So at the end of the day, you know, police officers are expensive. They're expensive to pay for, to train, to uniform, to insure. So when you put all those factors in, the cost adds up quite quickly, as we're learning.
So it's not necessarily that they're not needed, because everybody wants to have more police around, but, and that's what you're all about.
Well, when you say that, and that's how you can go out in the street and say, who wants more police? And everyone will probably say, sure, why not? I mean, we'll feel safer. But when you start looking at all the factors, it can quickly add up and become a complex issue.
All right. Well, you can catch Michael's special story, Protecting Sussex County. That's on tonight on WBOC News at 11. Looking forward to seeing that. Looks like you have a lot of work in it.
Put a lot of stuff together for the past few weeks, so looking forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Well,
now here's a look at what's coming up in the news on First at 5 on Fox 21, and later on, WBOC News at 6 and 7 in high definition.